Hello everybody, so today is going to be making the cover. So this is part 2 in my little Christmas junk journal series for 2019. So this is, if you didn't see the other video, this is me attempting my first go at making a junk journal. And I've chosen to use this book here, but I want to make the spine wider. So I'm just sort of cutting away the sides of the spine there with a craft knife and to take all the pages out. And then once I've taken the pages out, the plan is to then make the spine a lot wider so that I can fit more, not necessarily more pages, obviously, less pages, but more space between the pages for adding bits and bobs in, which will then make it quite chunky. Now, disclaimer, not done this before, I kind of make it up as I go along, and I'm a bit of a lazy crafter and I just grab what's to hand. I don't necessarily spend ages trying to find like the perfect products and items, but I'll explain as best as I can as I go along what I'm doing and why. So yeah, just cutting down those little grooves there to take the spine off. And then I'm going to try and find a piece of card that I can use for the spine. I was under the impression you'd need quite a tough piece of card, but having looked at quite a few YouTube videos, it doesn't actually need to be super thick. And actually looking at quite a few books, it doesn't need to be. So I decided to cut up the what do you call this, a little jacket case cover, because clearly the book's not going to fit back in there once I filled it full of random things. So, and it was pretty much the right size, and I really wanted to use the little squirrels. So I basically spent a bit of time faffing around trying to work out the width of the spine that I wanted. And I think in the end I probably made it a bit too wide, but it was probably because I wanted to get both the little squirrels on. So, yeah, that's what I do. So a lot of the time as well, I'm just eyeballing things. I'm not really measuring. Like I didn't really check that was straight particularly. And I'm actually using a really blunt craft knife because I can't be bothered to go and get my blades. If you want to see how it's all done properly, just look at other videos. If you just want to see how I muddle through, then continue watching. I should say actually, I have a really good recommendation. I'm sure if you're into junk journals, you'll know already, but there's a lady called Gayle Agostinelli, and she, I think at the moment, she seems to be uploading one video a day. I think she sits down in a craft room for an hour a day and films a video. And she's the queen of junk journals, it appears, and I learnt quite a lot of things from her just watching her videos. So I'll link her channel below, and you can go and have a look at her if you don't know already. And sorry about my head bobbing in and out, but yeah, I can't see what I'm doing otherwise. So I sort of attempted to neaten them up, and I am using the like measurements on the board now just to kind of make sure at least it's square-ish. Like I've got some right angles somewhere. Oh, and I think what I'm doing now is I'm deciding I'm going to use a tape to to join the spine to the front and the back cover, but it's obviously going to cover up quite a lot of the squirrel. So I was just trying to think how small I could do it without completely covering the squirrels up. So I'm sort of taking it down as narrow as I can, really. So the tape I've decided to use is actually bookbinding tape. God, I can't remember when I got this ages ago. You can probably find it in big stationery shops. It's not a woven tape, it's actually just paper, very, very sort of sturdy paper tape. But since it's specifically for bookbinding, I think it's probably supposed to be for bookbinding like reports and things, but I figured I'd just use this because it's nice and wide. And it has the handy feature of the backing splits in half, so when you peel it, you peel half at a time. So I'm obviously cutting two, one to attach to the front cover and one to attach to the back. And then I think I decided to use it to edge sort of over the top, just to sort of reinforce the top and the bottom of the spine. So I'm doing that there. And since it's paper, like the surface of the tape is actually like pretty much just like paper, It's quite good because you can glue on it really easily and stick on it. So next step, to attach the front cover. Trying to make sure I've got it the right way up and I'm not covering too much squirrel. Yeah, so he's a little bit covered, but you can see the faces, so that works, I think. And I left quite a generous gap between the front cover and the spine, well, both covers and the spine. I know you need to leave like some gap. I think probably most people leave a much smaller gap, but I wasn't sure, so I just thought, oh, I'll leave a generous gap. I think it's at this point that I realise I need more tape, because I need to tape the inside as well, because there's obviously a bit of tape showing through in the gap. I suppose you could use any strong tape to do this. It doesn't have to be special bookbinding tape. Obviously, I don't think anything like sellotape, normal tape's going to work, but packing tape or duct tape or anything super strong. But as I say, this is a good one because it's papery, so it you can paint it, I suppose, and write on it. And I've got a bone folder. It's not bone though, it's bamboo, a bamboo bone folder, just to sort of run up and down the edges of that little crease to make sure the sort of sticky tape goes into all the corners. And then using it to smooth down. And same on the other side. So another YouTuber I discovered recently, she's only got a few videos, but I really enjoyed them, is someone called Lindsey Dent, a British lady. And I like them because she has junk journals that are not your typical style, I think, for me anyway. Like a lot of junk journals, like the big popular ones, they're all very vintagey looking and distressed, sort of brown around the edges type thing. And I don't really do that kind of thing. I just do what I like. If I like it, I put it in. If I like the cover, I'll use that. I'm not sort of going for an overall look, which means that what I do is probably a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit confusing for the eyes. But yeah, Lindsey Dent, I think I really liked her style. She just put in things that she liked and used things that she likes, and it was quite interesting to see. So I enjoyed watching those. I'll link her below. So what I'm doing now is I've got this brilliant sticky back fabric, which I got from a 100 yen shop. Really good find, because it's actually really good quality. It sticks really well. And I'm going to use it to cover up the tape. But obviously I don't want to cover up the little squirrels. So I'm trying to kind of eyeball where the squirrels are and draw. I think I turn it over and work out I can draw on the back in a second. I end up cutting a hole out so the little squirrels can peek through. But because the fabric's woven, I feel like that's quite a good medium to put over the joins, because woven fabrics obviously are flexible, aren't they? But strong. So this is me trying to just guess where to draw the little cutout peephole for my squirrels to poke through. And I'm marking on there which is the top, because they're not dead centre, like they're sort of slightly high up, so if I don't write the top, I'm bound to stick it on upside down. And the handy thing about gingham fabric or check fabric is you can count the squares, so, and it does look nice and Christmassy. Because the challenge with this one is that obviously the squirrels are cute and wintry, but they're not specifically Christmassy. So I'm sort of attempting to try and make it a little bit more Christmassy on the cover there. So red gingham's going to work, I think. Again, using my blunt craft knife to cut the hole out. Oh Lord. I'm just doing that trick where I fold it over sort of in half so that both sides are the same. Both sides are equally wonky. I think I have to dig out my craft knife blades for the next video. So there, that's an example of upside down. So there it goes. It looks a bit like a tissue box cover looking at it now. A tissue box. But I do put some stuff on it later to make it look less strange. This is me just faffing out around, working out how to best to get it down. Because I know as soon as I take that backing off, the sticky fabric is going to be like sticking all over. And it's quite tricky when you're sticking it down to not sort of warp it. So like when you're sticking it, it sort of, the fabric obviously wriggles around a bit and then you end up with wonky lines. Well, I don't care about that, I don't mind, but it's obviously more noticeable with a gingham pattern. It's very satisfying to stick down though. I might go and get some more. Okay. So that I feel like that's sort of a satisfactory spine in terms of strength. I think that's probably going to hold up. Now, because I don't want to sew through the little squirrels' faces, when I sew the signatures in, the pages in, I'm going to actually sew them onto a separate piece of cardboard. And then I'm going to attach the cardboard to the inside. So these pieces of fabric there, the sticky back fabric, I'm actually going to save to cover the inside covers once I've stuck the other bit of cardboard in. That doesn't make sense, does it? Sorry, but it'll make sense later on when you see what I'm going to do. So I'm just sort of faffing around now, just seeing how it would work. So, for example, if I sewed the signatures, the paper, to that piece of cardboard, I would then stick the fabric on top to hold it into the spine area. So I'm just rolling that up and putting that away for when my signatures are ready. So I decide at this point, before cracking on with the paper signatures, the pages, to just sort of pretty up the cover a bit, add a few bits and bobs to it from my stash. Now, I'm faffing around with glues for a while because I didn't really know what glue to use. I don't have fabric glue. So I had a very unsuccessful attempt using this random glue. God knows what it's for. I should probably try and work out what it says on it, but it's certainly not for what I'm using it for because it's really yellow, awful yellowy kind of colour, and it doesn't stick very well, so God knows what it is. So I decided that's obviously not going to work. I think I ended up peeling it off because it's not really sticking, and it's left this awful yellow mark. So I think, yeah, it sort of turns into sort of a gooey jelly type goop, which I get some of it off, but in the end I think I just decided to cover it with a wider ribbon with a different glue this time, so that glue gets rejected. And I come back with wood glue, which it's not as crazy as it sounds, because I actually went to a workshop recently at a tea plantation, and we were sort of making these tea canisters, tea caddies, Japanese style, which are basically a metal and aluminium base, and then you cover them with washi paper. And the glue we used in the workshop was a mixture of half wood glue and half like normal PVA, you know, like the water-based craft glue that kids usually use. And it stuck paper to metal perfectly well once you mix it together. So it's not so crazy to use wood glue. So I've been using, for this project at the moment, I'm basically using some random wood glue and like a cheap PVA glue. But like I say, I'm just sort of muddling through with what I've got. And then seeing how it goes. And so far, it's all stuck together. It hasn't fallen apart, so seems okay. And I'm just going to choose a wider ribbon, partly to cover up the yellowy of that first glue, but also it's quite nice to have the one with the braid with the numbers on, because it's obviously it's an advent calendar. Not an advent calendar, it's an advent sort of style junk journal, isn't it? Following the days through December. So I thought this ribbon with the numbers on was quite suitable. And then something happened with my camera and it stopped filming and overheated, and I didn't notice. So here is the finished cover. Well, finished for now. I just stuck sort of like some random bits of paper over any of the words and the titles, and I stuck 2019 on with my little glitter numbers. A few of those little Band-Aid pine leaves, and to kind of cover the raw edges around the squirrels on the spine, I stuck on, like, you know, the traditional Christmassy string braid and tied it in a bow. So that's what my cover looks like for now. I think I might have to maybe put a layer of glue or something on it to seal it a bit. But yeah, that's the cover. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next episode. All right then, bye-bye.